Hi guys, so a question I've been getting asked quite a lot lately is who do I think the best Michael Myers is? Not the actor itself, but the Michael Myers himself. I have ranked the masks in previous videos, but the masks don't really determine the full Michael Myers because there are some masks that I like better than others. They don't play well as Michael Myers than the other ones, so it is a question I get asked quite a lot, so I'm going to rank them today from worst to best Michael Myers. So in at number 9 is the Michael Myers from Halloween Resurrection, played by Brad Loree. Most of these actors are just stuntmen, so a lot of people don't really know their names, but it's Brad Loree that plays this guy. Now, he wasn't terrible as Michael Myers, it was actually okay, but the thing that seals it for me is being beat up by Busta Rhymes. And I know that's only in one scene, but you have to look at it as an overall movie. Michael Myers himself, I know he's not this unstoppable force of nature like Jason Voorhees is supposed to be, but no way anyone can do that to the Michael Myers we've known in the 8th movie in that original series. So Halloween Resurrection is hands down the worst Michael Myers for me.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
And at number 9 is the Michael Myers from Halloween 2 from 2009, the Rob Zombie version. Now, Tyler Mane is a good Michael Myers as a separate character, a separate Michael Myers in a separate universe. He's this almost 7-foot monster of a man, and yes, he's very scary, but it's not the Michael Myers that I've known to love. So it took it out of that whole original Michael Myers realm for me. It just wasn't a good fit for Michael Myers. It was too scary, he was too big and too strong for me. And one other thing that did take me out of that was the fact that he had dreams, and we saw Michael Myers' dreams, we saw his feelings. We didn't need to know that, we didn't want to know that for Michael Myers. So even if it was a realistic Michael Myers, the dream sequences for him took me out of that again, because that's not what we know about Michael Myers, that's not what we want to know. So that Michael Myers wasn't great for me, it was just too big, too tall, not for me. And at number 7 is Michael Myers from Halloween, the remake from 2007, again played by Tyler Mane, and almost for the identical reasons for my reasons for the low count for Halloween 2, is that he's too big, he's too muscly, he's a monster. However, in this one, it wasn't the whole dream sequences that annoyed me most, it was the fact that we saw Michael as a child for almost half the movie. We felt for Michael, we saw his reasons, his emotions, something that we didn't need to know. That's not the Michael Myers we want to know. So we knew too much about Michael before he even became an adult. So for me, that was a weak point for the movie, and a weak point for Michael as well, because by the time he became this adult Michael Myers, we sort of felt for him, and we don't want to feel for Michael. So it's not the Michael Myers for me, and like I said, the way he walks and stuff like that, he's just too big and clunky for me. And at number 6 is the Michael Myers from Halloween 5. He's played by Don Shanks in this one. This Michael Myers seemed a little bit too thin for me and scrawny looking. I don't know what it was, maybe it's just the way the angles went. The mask doesn't help obviously, but we're not really ranking the masks. I just felt like this Michael Myers felt a little bit too human, and he'd done a few things that only humans would do. I know that Michael Myers is human, but they're working him towards this Thorn theory that he's not really human. So things that he was doing in this film just didn't seem like something that Michael Myers would do. For example, when Jamie's trying to talk to him, he begins to take off the mask. Again, that's not something Michael Myers would do. He was better than the previous ones I mentioned, but he just wasn't all there for me. Not the worst Michael Myers, but nowhere near the best. And number 5 is the Michael Myers from Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, played by George P. Wilbur. Now this is going to be a bit of a contradiction, because he does play Michael Myers in another movie that I will mention that's higher up on my list. But in this one, he just felt a little bit too big and bulky, and again I think it might be the mask that was causing it, because the mask did look like this big heavy piece of clay on top of his head. And again, this is going to sound a little bit silly, but he was too brutal in this film. In the previous Myers movies and the ones after this one, I think this is the most brutal that we saw Michael Myers, apart from the Rob Zombie remakes. In the original franchise, The Curse of Michael Myers, Michael seemed a little bit too brutal for me, and it's not a bad thing if the previous films were the same, but they didn't really hold back with this one. He was very, very brutal and hard. So like I said, it's not a bad thing, but it's just different to what I was used to in the previous movies. So it was a change that wasn't fully welcome for me. And like I said, the way he walked and things, it just seemed like he was too heavy, and maybe his head felt a little bit too heavy for his body. It just didn't move right for me. It didn't move like the original Michael Myers did, because we're always we're always really looking at the original Halloween and comparing the rest of the Michael Myers to this one, and it was nowhere near anything like the first Halloween. And then number 4 is the Myers from Halloween H2O. Now, I do like this Michael Myers, and I've mentioned before I do like the mask, and I've said it time and time again, Halloween H2O and everything in it is a product of its time. But for Halloween and for Michael Myers, if I'm having to be honest with myself and with you guys, that this Michael Myers felt a little bit too slick. He was quite fast at times. You could see his eyes a lot, but again, that was something to do with the mask. He just felt a little bit too human again for this one. He was too fast. He was too thin looking as well. It was Chris Durand that played Myers in this one. And again, it felt like he was a psychopath from a movie like Scream, or I Know What You Did Last Summer, or Urban Legend. He felt like one of those killers instead of Michael Myers. So in terms of a killer from the late 90s, he was great. He was great for Halloween H2O because it was a product of its time. But for Michael Myers, sadly, it just it didn't really feel right for a Michael Myers. And then number 3 is the Michael Myers from Halloween 2, played by Dick Warlock. Now that may be a surprise to quite a lot of you because he was a fantastic Myers, but trying to live up to the Nick Castle Myers was going to be hard to do. It was going to be a hard task. And he done it great. Dick Warlock was fantastic as Michael Myers. I'm not saying he's bad. He is number 3 on my list. But for me, the biggest issue for me was that he walked too slow. Now that wasn't his fault. He was told to walk at that speed. But Myers, although he does walk slow, I think they were overemphasising his movements in Halloween 2. They're overemphasising everything from Halloween 1 to Halloween 2. And it's supposed to be on the same night, and they're trying to make it look like the same guy. And he was completely different to what he was in Halloween 1. Like I said, he wasn't bad, but I just think he was completely different to Nick Castle's Mike Myers. And for me, it just didn't live up to Nick Castle's Michael Myers. But like I said, he was great, but he was just a little bit too slow for me. And then number 2 is the Michael Myers from Halloween 4. Now again, this one was played by George P. Wilbur, who also played him in The Curse of Michael Myers. And I did mention in that one that he looked a little bit too bulky. But this one he didn't. He had big broad shoulders in this one, which are a little bit off-putting at times. But overall, the feel for this Michael Myers was great. A lot better than the Halloween 2 one, I have to admit. And I think it's also due to the scenery that we see all the way through the film. It just had that sense of dread, and Michael could catch you in this one pretty easy, but he still walked kind of slow, but would always be able to catch you quite fast. He was stronger in this one than he was in Halloween 1 and 2, but he wasn't overly strong like the one in Curse of Michael Myers or anything after that. He was just humanly strong, lifting people up by the neck. So the way he looked and felt in this one felt like, yes, he's still a human, but he's strong, and you're really scared to get caught by him. Even though you know he's walking kind of slow, he can always catch up on you. So that sense of dread and him being able to do that to you was quite scary. So this Michael Myers for me was really scary. Apart from the mask, which was terrible, everything about this Myers was excellent, almost perfect to me. And then at number 1 is obviously the Michael Myers from the original Halloween from 1978. It was played by Nick Castle for most of the movie, but obviously you'll know that Tony Moran plays the face of Michael Myers when the mask comes off. And again, as mentioned in the previous listings that I've done, that this Michael Myers was perfect. He walked the perfect speed for me. And again, I think it's also with the help from the camera work, the cinematography, the direction that John Carpenter gave Nick Castle. But he done it perfectly, and again, you can't really compare Nick Castle's Michael Myers to anything else because he was the first. You're comparing everybody else to Nick Castle, so we can't say that Nick Castle done it wrong because he was the first person to do it. But I just think that watching this movie back, he's got that timeless movement, especially that scene when Laurie's run towards the door. She's banging on all the doors in the street, and Michael Myers is across the road and he's walking towards her. It's just that sense, again, that sense of dread that Michael Myers is coming to get you. It was perfect. And again, I can't really say anything else other than the Michael Myers from Halloween 1 is still the best, and one that we still haven't been able to see. Now, I have seen the trailers, obviously, for the new Halloween that's coming out, and he does look good in this one, but we've not really seen him walking too much. But from what we saw in the trailer, it does look good, and I do hear that Nick Castle's not doing the walking for this one. Nick Castle's only in one scene apparently, so James Dude Courtney knows Nick Castle. He's spoken to Nick Castle. He's obviously asked him for tips and pointers, and I'm assuming that James Dude Courtney has seen all the previous Halloween movies. So He's got a lot to do. He's got a lot to look up to as well, and I just hope he does it right. And I'll probably rank him in this ranking later on, but as it looks, he's looking great, and I'm hoping that he does the movie justice. So that's my ranking for all the Michael Myers and all the Halloween movies that Michael Myers features in. What do you think, guys? Who's your favourite Michael Myers? I know that most of you are going to say Halloween 1, and it does sound a little bit silly to even do a list like this because you know that what your number 1 is going to be, but it'd be interesting to see your number 2 to number 9. What do you think? What's the worst Michael Myers, and what's the second best at least? Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.